showing the availability of them, which is very important. We who know the Master, who did know him, we understand. But many did not have the privilege of meeting him. But you can read throughout this religious history about the different saints. Now about St. Teresa, we read in the book The Saints That Moved the World these words, showing the omnipresence of Jesus as a manifestation of the omniscience of God. We read, "She not only heard these words more distinctly than even a bodily ear can hear." When God speaks, you know it. It's much better than hearing as you hear now. "She saw and recognized more unmistakably than ever a bodily eye or physical perception are able to do, that it was the Lord himself who spoke to her. The Lord himself had granted her guidance." Jesus said, "I will send you the Comforter." The Lord is the Comforter, the Christ consciousness of the omniscience of God, available to everyone. The Bhagavad Gita says the same thing. Lord Krishna, a great saint, Jadava Krishna, King Jadava, who had Christ consciousness, he speaks about the availability of the saints with these words, "He who seeth me everywhere, and seeth everything in me, of him I will never lose hold of." If you see the omniscience of God in every person, in everything, in those flowers, in our life, and you keep that contact, how can God let you go? How can you be forsaken? So he says, "He who established in unity worshipeth me, abiding in all beings, that yogi liveth in me, whatever his abode of living." No matter what we do, where we are, let us know the omniscience of God and not lose contact with it, then we can never be forsaken. We also read about Kabir, a great medieval saint. He spoke about the saints with these words, because you will find that they all say the same thing in just a little different ways. He said, "The company of the saints will make your burdens light." Isn't that wonderful? The company of the saints, because they express the manifestation of the omniscience of God, will take your burdens. You will feel the great load lift. The company of the evil means quarreling throughout the 8 watches of the day. We found that out. Then he also says, "That day is blessed which causes you to meet a holy man." Then I might add his teachings too. As you embrace him fervently, sin is driven from the body. Sin means delusion. And finally, one other of Kabir's sayings, "Through association with a saint comes the remembrance of God." Isn't that beautiful? Through the association with a saint comes the remembrance of the omniscience of God. That hour is recorded to a man's credit in his account with God. All the rest is as valueless as air. Don't you think the saints can help us? They certainly can. And from one other saint, the great yogi Nanak of India, of whom the Master spoke often to me, we read this one little passage. "The holy saints, the devotees, that's you and me, O Nanak, are ever in happy bloom, eternally blossoming in bliss. Hear therefore of him, so that all thy sorrows and sin be destroyed." How wonderful. So you see, the testimony of the saints is the same. A little different variation of things, but underneath the fundamental truth that the power and the common attribute of the saint is the omniscience of God. St. Paul said that very thing in 1 Corinthians 4th and 5th verse. in my speech and my preaching, says St. Paul, was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in the demonstration of the Spirit and power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. The saints recognize and realize that power of God, and those who contact them or their teachings open up the channel for the power of God to flow through each and every one of us. And in closing, a recent saint, our beloved Master Paramahansa Yogananda, left his teaching surcharged with what? The omniscience and the power of God. And through his teachings is available to each and every one who will follow, because he was and is a true saint, a true Son of God, is available for each and every one of us. Contact with the omniscience of God. Having that, we will want for nothing else, because God alone is. All other things are nothing. As the great Nanak said, you may be known throughout universe upon universe and 10 times those number of universes, but unless you receive the glance of His grace, God's grace, you are counted as nothing.
In order to profit from these practical teachings in a meaningful way, which will have a definite and tangible impact in your life, we suggest that you subscribe to the Self-Realization Fellowship's home study course on the science of yoga. Please visit the SRF on the web at yogananda-srf.org or call the SRF's Mother Center in Los Angeles, California at 323-225-2471.